still argue it was the high watermark for Brazilian football, notwithstanding 1970. Bruno Alves. And this is Pepe. Missed training on Sunday, as did Cristiano Ronaldo, actually. Straightforward for Isaksson. Even though we felt it was a pretty accidental collision, some of the Swedish tabloids getting a little wound up by Ronaldo and Isaksson's coming together, let's say, in the first game, which I think we both felt he was rather unlucky to be booked for.
I think the thing that tells me it was an accident was the fact that he never really had a look for Isaksson. If he'd been looking for the goalkeeper, still it would have been very difficult to actually catch him in the way that he did. I did think that was accidental, but that's a headbutt in inverted commas. He did run the risk of getting sent off, and that would have changed, of course, the whole complexion of this game.
Here's Ibrahimovic. Well, he would have had the stage to himself in many ways. Shellstrom. Hugo Almeida. Rasmus Alm scampering after it. And keeping the ball in Swedish hands, or at Swedish feet. They've not beaten the Portuguese in nearly 30 years. They've not beaten them here since 1981. World Cup qualifier where, in the end, both teams failed to reach the finals in Spain. Scotland and Northern Ireland qualified at their expense. Oh, for those days again. Particularly the former, in my case. Antonsa of Bologna. Just had to adjust a little coming into the national team setup. Just a little wayward from Isaksson. Playing a back three with Bologna. The back four has been long established in Swedish football. Kacaniklic conceding the foul on this occasion.
I think Howard Webb just making a point to Kacaniklic that that's the only one he's going to get away with. You mentioned Seb Larsson talking about Howard Webb and how he was going to referee this game, whether he'd allow the Swedes to be a bit more physical. I think there's only maybe another challenge that he can make before he goes into the referee's notebook.
Morelos, of course, just returning from injury. The first leg was his first game in the best part of 6 weeks for club or country. Some useful weapons in there. One of them is Bruno Alves, and Isaksson having to produce the save.
Well, it's a really tidy heading. What makes it difficult for Isaksson is the way the ball just bounces in front of him. He can't make a clean catch. He's got to try and judge the bounce, get this wrong. This could easily just sneak into the corner. It's actually a terrific save. He's got to adjust his body, get his angles absolutely right, and time his dive to perfection, and that is a very important save.
A man who has got goals in him. He's proved it in the Portuguese scores in this qualification campaign, bringing the best out of Sweden's goalkeeper.
That underlines the point I was making about the Swedish set pieces. No real quality there. Moutinho over that ball. Delivers a decent ball in. Bruno Alves is on the move, and an opportunity comes at the end. And in general play, of course, you want to try and score goals, but set plays in a game like this, a tie as tight as this, you have to make them count.
Well, the booing will be like a symphony to Paulo Bento's ears. It's not been the same free-flowing, vibrant start that we saw in Portugal. Almost a wonderful moment here for the men in red.
It's a vital save. We've seen it time and again. Centre halves just getting a flick on a pacey ball like that and it drifting into the corner, but Isaacson did really well just to judge the bounce.
Antonsen. Elm. Shellström. Kacaniklic. Ibrahimovic. Looking at a fair amount of possession in those kind of areas so far. He was almost waiting for the game to come to him on Friday night. He's certainly been involved a good deal more in these first 16 minutes or so.
Yeah, you can talk about how to get Ibrahimovic much more involved in a game, and it is personally down to him to cover more ground, to show for his teammates as well. And of course his teammates need to try and find him with a bit more quality. Certainly in the second half in Lisbon he was starved of possession and was a peripheral figure and just not involved whatsoever.
Olsen. That's a nice turn and promise here for the Swedes. Well, Elmander applauding his clubmate's effort.
Well, the idea was certainly right, and he's been really positive actually. Martin Olsen at left back, he's pressed forward a number of occasions and it opens up nicely for him. The big criticism, of course, hit the target. Whether it's the greatest shot in the world doesn't matter. Work, Patricio, that's what Sweden haven't done in the opening stages of this game.
The Norwich City pair in international conflict together tonight. I mentioned Ronaldo and Pepe missing one day's training. So did Elmander on Sunday between first and second legs. Not surprising that he needed a bit of time to recover, given the energy he put into his display in the Estadio de Luz. Nani's cross really was fizzed. Antonsen will have to complete the job here. João Moutinho. Fixture in this Portuguese side in the midfield. Millionaires' playground of Monaco. Here he is again, João Pereira. And Olsen was after it, but he lost out. João Moutinho. Antonsen to get it away. A little sticky spell for Sweden.
It's really understandable. The opening probably 20 minutes of this game, it's going to be a bit nervy and scrappy. Neither side really finding their rhythm. Plenty of endeavour out there, but so far we haven't really seen quality. And Bruno Alves just a slight kick out there at Elmander, and Howard Webb didn't spot it.
He certainly made contact with Johan Elmander at a point of his body where he's not used to it. Ronaldo. Miguel Veloso put in that wonderful cross for the goal. His contribution would certainly not be underestimated. One real quality delivery they had. And they got into an awful lot of very good situations.
And I think Veloso had a fabulous game all round. He's that defensive insurance. He plays the holding midfielder, but when he stepped forward, you're absolutely right, for the Ronaldo goal, the ball he put in, the cross he put in was fantastic, and that's what really Portugal had struggled with throughout the game, was the quality of their crossing.
But what can Nani produce here? Well, it certainly doesn't come into that category, unfortunately for him. A man who can frustrate and occasionally exhilarate. Often it's more the former than the latter.
Yeah, I'm presuming that was a shot, but he again is a player that probably needs to rise to this occasion. He is an influential player. He can turn a game with a cross or a goal. I just haven't seen the best of him so far.
He's not a young man anymore, turned 27 at the weekend. Not a young man in footballing terms, anyway. And the obligatory birthday cake was wheeled out at the training camp before they set off for Swedish shores. Yesterday, we were rather aghast at the temperatures when they trained here. Here's Ronaldo. Well, he's saying, where were you? In terms of the support, the targets to aim for.
Well, he's blaming his teammates, but I'm not sure what he's actually trying to do here. But this is where Portugal can really threaten They win the ball back fairly cheaply. And the one thing you don't want as a defender is to be isolated one-on-one with Ronaldo. But is it a cross? Is it a shot? Hard to really say, but he certainly flaps his arms around, blames everybody else, but I'm not sure what he was trying to do there.
Well, when you make the direct comparison of these two wonderfully talented players, Ronaldo is certainly more a dominant figure in matches. His desire was there for all to see on Friday night. You can maybe question that sometimes in his Swedish counterpart.
Yeah, I think Trevor in the studio used the perfect word. It was his perseverance. He is a great footballer, we know that. He can score great goals, but he kept on going, kept on trying, believing he could be the difference, and we just didn't see Ibrahimovic really doing the same. So Ronaldo had a big part to play, even though we didn't see him playing the flowing football we know he's capable of.
This is Elmander. Ibrahimovic. Now Källström. Isaksson needing to come there. It's just a slightly worrying moment.
And the Swedish approach in the opening half of this first half has been really very centrally based. They're trying to play through the middle of Portugal, and that's where the Portuguese are really strong. They have the extra man in central midfield. I think if Sweden are to be effective, they need to try and get the ball into wide areas, get their full-backs forward, get some crosses in. We really haven't seen them doing that throughout the tie so far.
Bruno Alves, one man who has tested a goalkeeper so far tonight. And Andreas Isaksson was up to that test. Lustig of Celtic. Ramires started the game terrifically well the other night. Ibrahimovic fed by Elmander into trouble in the shape of João Moutinho. Meireles, Moutinho, one for Hugo Almeida to chase, keeping Per Nilsson honest.